Your feet don't need cuter shoes right now. They need the kind of support that makes that first painful step in the morning feel less like a shock. In the next few minutes, we're counting down 7 women's shoes that can be plantar fasciitis friendly, and I'll tell you what actually felt good under the heel, what helped my arch feel held, and which pairs had trade-offs you should know before buying. 7. Bondi 9. The Bondi 9 is basically the definition of ultra cushion, and the first thing I noticed when I put it on was how protected my heel felt when I landed. This shoe has a super critically foamed EVA midsole and a plush, high-cushion ride that makes impact feel softer and more forgiving, especially if your plantar fasciitis flares on hard floors. When I wore the Bondi 9 on a longer walk, the rocker shape helped me roll forward without feeling like my foot had to bend a lot at the forefoot. That roll is partly from Hoka's smooth meta rocker design, and it can be helpful if your foot gets cranky when it has to flex repeatedly. Support-wise, it isn't a hardcore stability shoe, but it does have a wide base and a rear foot-focused active foot frame, which gave me a bit more planted feel than a totally neutral, narrow trainer. It also includes J-frame technology intended to reduce excessive inward rolling without feeling overly corrective. Now, for the part people don't always say out loud, the Bondi 9 can feel like a lot of shoe. On days I wanted something nimble, it felt bulky, and that max cushion stack can make quick turns feel slightly awkward, especially if you're moving around the kitchen or doing tight errand routes. And fit-wise, while the upper is designed to be accommodating, it still took me a couple wears to dial in the lacing, so the midfoot felt secure without pressure. Number 6. Brooks Women's Ghost 17. The Ghost line is popular for a reason. It's a comfortable, neutral daily trainer that usually feels easy and normal the moment you step in. For plantar fasciitis, that familiar neutral ride can be a win if your pain is mild and you mainly need consistent cushioning without aggressive arch posting. In my wear style experience, the Ghost style shoe feels best when you're walking at a steady pace on sidewalks, doing gym treadmill miles, or handling everyday errands. It's the kind of shoe that doesn't demand your body adapt to it, it just goes along for the day. But here's the critical piece. With plantar fasciitis, neutral and comfy isn't always enough. If your arch collapses a lot or your heel drifts inward when you're tired, a neutral shoe can let that motion keep happening. And I've found that can leave my heel feeling more irritated later in the day compared to a stability-focused shoe. The other drawback is that neutral trainers in this category can feel great at first and then feel less supportive after hours of standing. So if your pain is at its worst during long-standing shifts, the Ghost style experience may be more pleasant cushioning than real control. That said, if you already do well in neutral shoes and just need a dependable, wearable option that won't feel weird, this can still be a solid pick. Just don't expect it to fix plantar mechanics the way a stability model might. Number 5. Questar 3 Running Shoes. The Questar 3 is an approachable option when you want something budget-friendlier that still feels like a real running shoe. One practical advantage is the simple sizing guidance. It's listed as true to size. And in general, it feels like the kind of shoe you can order without too much guesswork. On foot, the Questar 3 gave me a straightforward daily sneaker vibe. For plantar fasciitis, I liked it most for lighter-duty days, shorter walks, grocery runs, commuting, and casual wear where you still want cushioning under the heel. What it didn't give me, compared to the higher-ranked shoes, is that locked-in stability feeling that reduces foot strain when you're on your feet for hours. If your PF is more severe, you might notice you want an added insole or more structured support. Still, for the price point, it's a workable choice if your pain is under control and you mainly need a comfortable shoe that won't aggravate your heel on normal daily movement. It's not a specialist plantar fasciitis shoe, but it can fit into a rotation. And because it's a simpler, general-purpose runner, it can be a decent backup pair, the one you leave at the office or keep for travel so you're not stuck walking all day in flat, casual shoes. 4. Adrenaline GTS 24. If plantar fasciitis is tied to overpronation, that inward roll that can tug on the plantar fascia, stability shoes tend to feel like relief. The Adrenaline GTS style shoe experience is usually about guiding your stride so the arch doesn't collapse as much late in the day. When I tested this category of stability trainer in real-life situations, standing while cooking, walking longer distances, and those days where the heel is sensitive, the biggest benefit was reduced fatigue. My feet felt less like they were doing all the stabilizing work by themselves. What I like about this kind of shoe for PF is that it's supportive without feeling like a stiff medical device. It can still feel like a running shoe, just one that keeps you more centered. The trade-off is that some people feel stability shoes are too much if 4. Adrenaline GTS 24. If plantar fasciitis is tied to overpronation, that inward roll that can tug on the plantar fascia, stability shoes tend to feel like relief. The Adrenaline GTS style shoe experience is usually about guiding your stride so the arch doesn't collapse as much late in the day. When I tested this category of stability trainer in real-life situations, standing while cooking, walking longer distances, and those days where the heel is sensitive, the biggest benefit was reduced fatigue. My feet felt less like they were doing all the stabilizing work by themselves. What I like about this kind of shoe for PF is that it's supportive without feeling like a stiff medical device. It can still feel like a running shoe, just one that keeps you more centered. The trade-off is that some people feel stability shoes are too much if they have a neutral gait. If you don't actually overpronate, that extra guidance can feel unnecessary or slightly intrusive. But if you know your arches drop, your ankles roll inward, or you've been told you need stability, this is the point in the list where the shoes start feeling more like a true plantar fasciitis strategy, not just comfort. Number 3. HKR Women's Walking Shoes. HKR walking shoes tend to be bought for convenience, easy daily wear, walkability, and a comfort-first feel. For plantar fasciitis, what matters here is whether the shoe reduces heel pounding and keeps your foot from feeling slappy on the ground during casual walking. In my day-to-day wear style, I'd put these in the errand and standing category. The shoe you grab when you're not trying to train, you're just trying to get through the day without your heel yelling at you. One thing I genuinely like about walking-focused shoes like this is how they can reduce the mental friction of wearing supportive footwear. You're more likely to wear them consistently, and consistency matters when plantar fasciitis is flaring. They may not have the premium midsole tech of the higher-ranked performance models, but they can still be a good choice if your primary goal is walking comfort and reducing irritation from hard surfaces. If you go with a walking shoe like this, the best way to make it plantar fasciitis friendlier is to pay attention to your fit. Secure heel hold, no sliding, and enough room in the forefoot so your toes aren't gripping, because toe gripping can tense the bottom of the foot and make PF feel worse. 2. Supernova Rise 2. The Supernova Rise 2 felt like a step up in that smooth daily runner category, not just soft, but controlled. It's also labeled true to size, and that matters because plantar fasciitis feet tend to be picky. If sizing is off, you end up clenching, sliding, or stressing the heel. What stood out to me in wear was how easy it was to do a full day in these without thinking about my feet every 10 minutes. That's my personal test for plantar fasciitis shoes. Can I forget about my heel for a while? For walking, the cushioning felt protective without being marshmallow soft. That balance can be ideal because overly soft foam sometimes lets your foot wobble, while overly firm foam can feel harsh on an irritated heel. I also like this shoe as a bridge option, supportive enough for people who need more than a basic sneaker, but not so structured that it feels corrective. If you're transitioning from casual shoes into better footwear, this type can feel very wearable. And because it's a true running shoe, it also works if your plantar fasciitis is improving and you're reintroducing light jogging, the kind where you're not pushing speed, just building tolerance again. 1. Gaviota 5. The Gaviota 5 earned the top spot because it gave me what plantar fasciitis usually demands: stability plus comfort without that rigid brace sensation. It's designed as a stability shoe without sacrificing comfort, and on foot, it really does feel like cushion and guidance working together. What made the biggest difference for my heel was how stable it felt through the midfoot when I got tired. The Gaviota 5 uses stabilizing H-frame technology intended to reduce excessive inward roll without overcorrecting, and that not too harsh support is exactly what many PF sufferers need. Comfort details matter when you're dealing with foot pain, and this shoe nails that cozy step-in feel with a plush tongue and collar and a Creel jacquard mesh upper. When the top of the shoe is comfortable, it's easier to lace it securely, and a secure fit helps keep the heel from sliding and irritating the fascia. The ride feels cushioned and protective thanks to the soft EVA foam and the meta-rocker geometry that encourages a smooth forward roll. For me, that translated into less heel strike punishment and less strain during longer walks. Finally, it's just a shoe you can realistically wear often. The Gaviota 5 is also noted as vegan and made with recycled materials, which is a nice bonus if those factors matter in your purchase decision. If you tell me one thing, I'll tailor the best pick. Is your plantar fasciitis worse during long standing, long walking, or the first steps in the morning? That's all for today, folks.